a few things about human behavior to answer this question. And see, there is a difference between responsibility and accountability for anybody. Whoever it is, let's say student. Let's talk about a student first. If a student feels that I'm only responsible to come to college and do the classes because of attendance, so my engineering degree will be completed. If that is the feeling, the student never learns. If the same student change the mind and start thinking, I'm accountable to come to the college, not only for attendance, but learn new things, learn the subject, have a clarity. If I have a doubt, I should approach my faculty, ask him for an answer.
So let us start into the startup.
Okay.
As you're motivated and very enthusiastic, and you're teaching us especially about the startups and all. So what exactly is a startup and how it is different from a normal business?
Let me just clear it with a very important point. A normal business is like a kind of traditional business. Like you will think about some stability in income. But when you try to compare normal business with startup, it is innovative and it always tries to identify what is the problem of you.
Some chat of 90% startups fail. So why are so colleges are still lying about entrepreneurship?
See, when you, let's say I take an example, there is a 100 meters race. There are some 15 people running in that lane. Everybody runs, but only one person becomes first, second is the runner-up, third is the runner-up.
Yeah.
So why is so? So support system which is being created by the government of India, even the state government. Everybody is encouraging entrepreneurship, and the government is also having separate portals, so many portals where we apply for different things in different portals and we get the funding accordingly. But yes, there is a process, but we cannot ignore the process. So if we have all the documentation and if we can prove what the investigation is done on the project report, so obviously the funding also comes easily. So this means that India is looking for more of entrepreneurs, because for an Indian economy or any country's economy, exports are very important. And without the help with the more number of people, where we have more of manufacturers, we have more of service providers, we cannot progress the economy. And money cannot be constantly bearing. So if we have a system in education where a faculty is helping a student to clear the concept, answer all the questions which is not getting clear, and if that is done, then it makes sense to study in the college. And beyond that, some additional help, obviously web-based help has to be taken.
Sir, few general topics I want to discuss with you in this today's podcast. I want to tell the college students what is the college life actually, and what is about entrepreneurship and all.
Okay. See, when I have to answer this beautiful question, see, even I was a student. So when I did my journey as a student, I felt that it is a place to learn and learn with creative ways. Like I would have something in the lecture when I'm a participant in the class. So what a lecturer would teach us, we need to understand, and then we need to connect that into the practical area.
Yeah.
So if that learning continues, then obviously that connects to you somewhere, that what can you do out of these learnings, whatever courses we do.
Yes, sir.
In our studies.
Actually, my first question is about, are colleges really change your life, or they just lie about it?
That's a beautiful question. See, there are many types of institutions when we talk about different grades of institution. Now, if you talk about category A institutions, they help in changing or transforming many lives. Now we talk about...
Can you tell particularly what are the A grade colleges?
I would say, see, when we talk about engineering colleges, obviously we talk about IITs as number one. Even in IIT also there are many colleges like which will be like IIT Kharagpur, IIT Mumbai or IIT Delhi. So whenever we see people are getting educated from this kind of institution, they have got a mix of practical knowledge and theoretical knowledge. So obviously, when they go undergo the internships in their 4 years of courses, and whatever they learn, and once they complete their studies and they join the different companies in different positions, they are actually able to handle. Most of them are able to handle that work pressure into and they try to make some changes in the organizations in terms of productivity, in terms of team management, in terms of leadership. So a lot of things they inculcate what they learn. So in these kind of institutions, I found that most of them are getting the theory connected or synchronizing with the practical. So that's the reason, premium colleges always helps us to get a better value in the education.
You only mentioned the A grade colleges. What about the B and C?
There are also there are many B grade colleges also, and I would not talk about C. There is no point. See, when you go to the AICTE site, you will find there could be some lakhs of colleges, maybe more than 15 lakhs of colleges which are imparting education or creating engineers. Could be diploma, could be BTech or BE. So the question is that all those 15 lakhs plus institutions cannot be graded in A. So there could be someone
Yeah.
which would be graded as A or B or C. See, primarily it all talks about we're talking about quality. Now,
Yeah.
what is quality? Quality is about a lot of things. It is not. It is a measure which would be based on various parameters. So one is the education that they get. Second is the kind of internships that they undergo. Third is the number of corporates which comes to the campus and does the recruitment. Fourth is could be a lot of hackathons or could be a lot of events that gets organized or they are participating, and that is how the exposure of the students gets widened up. Now, whichever institutions can actually impart this kind of education would definitely make them reach a different milestone. As we know, we know that Rome is not built in a day. So similarly, an education institution has to work on those basics for a long time, and then gradually they gets elevated to a higher grade of institutions. So wherever we talk about quality with certain ethics, with certain process, everything is in control, then obviously the institutions can be elevated to a higher level.
Yeah, that's a good answer, sir. Sir, I have a question actually. Why does colleges mostly take not only the expectation of money, not only expectation of the student, but why don't they get the placement? And not only the placement drive, why they doesn't go for open drive system? Why they doesn't get a placement? What might be the main reason according to you?
I will tell you about a situation that I've undergone now, where I was interacting with one of the HR of one of the leading company, which is one leading company in India. That's an Indian MNC. Obviously, they recruit in large numbers, and it was around 2 years back, to be very precise. I asked that you have come for a campus recruitment, so how do you find the student? That was the situation, and the person says that the students are having good technical knowledge, but they lack communication. They don't know how to present. So even why why the interviews are conducted, still people are not getting recruited. We need to understand from that point. See, when we talk about education in a college, it should not be only on the theoretical aspect. It should be the overall development of a student. So the student should be developing on certain other skills primarily, because without those skills they cannot even clear the rounds. Now, secondly, those skills are essential even when they go for employment after they join a company. So those are the basics. The foundation is not made, thoroughly in those number of years that the courses they are undergoing, and that is the reason most of the students fail. Only few get selected. So even if there is an opportunity, but the opportunity cannot be grabbed by majority, so the numbers obviously becomes very less.
Yes, sir. So, what is the biggest lie what college talks about naturally? What is the biggest lie which they know in the college, but outside people doesn't?
See, when we talk about taking a decision, I'm talking about a very important thing, that is decision making. When we think about getting admitted in a college, the first and foremost thing is not only the campus, it is about also interacting with students, interacting with faculties. Understand that what we see from the picture of the college, is it synchronizing with the other elements with which we have to learn. So the learning comes on various parameters. So one is your course, what you learn, the theory. Second is your internships. Third is your practicals, whatever you get. Now, apart from that, what extra things that the college is imparting? So that has to be explored, which may not be explored completely when you see a brochure. So that can be explored when you interview people, when you go and meet people, when you meet students, when you try to understand. So when you talk to the students, even 10 students, you get an idea. If 10 students give me some common views, means those things must be happening.
Okay.
So with that preparation, if you move and then you understand, analyze, and then take a decision, I believe that will help any student or the parents to decide on where to take admissions. If your criteria of the marks and the scores matches, then of course you can try for other institutions.
So, what do you suggest actually? I wanted to ask you because you are in the industry and you have got a good knowledge about the industry. So, I ask you, which branch you think it is a useless branch after these few years?
None of the branches are useless. We are not being able to take the outcome of all the branches. Now, I would say when we talk about, now let's say when we talk about opportunities, when we talk about industries, every industry is developing now, whether it's a manufacturing or it's a service oriented or it's even the software, the IT. Every industry is developing and is evolving. Now we talk about technology integrating with every industry. So beyond IT or AI, what we see as a buzzword, there are many other industries where we are not able to connect properly because we don't have the admissions. That's what we see. The admissions, number of admissions are getting reduced. Many of the colleges have started eliminating certain courses like civil, mechanical. Many colleges do not have. Earlier they used to have because of low admissions. Now the awareness is not getting that much relevant to the other streams, and that's the reason the market is not getting those output. Because if it is an equal distribution of students while the admissions are happening, like someone is getting admissions in IT or someone is getting in civil or mechanical, everywhere we have huge opportunity. If there is no opportunity, then the question comes, then how these different sectors are so much developing? So obviously if there is a development, means there is a manpower requirement.
Yeah.
So whether we are able to understand with the awareness that okay, even mechanical or even civil has a high demand, and we need to also, we can choose that as a career option.
Sir, actually, as you said, mechanical and civil also have the huge career option. I have it out. Many colleges are not teaching this mechanical or civil in the correct manner, or they are going a backward. Why are the students are not attracted to civil or mechanics? Because these days many colleges got shut down in mechanics and civil branch. Because I have it out. All the motors run with mechanics. All the buildings are constructed with the civil engineer and designed by an architect, and there we have to have a civil engineer, and there we have to have a mechanical engineer. But why these are branches are going shutting down? And this market margin is more in the market because all the real estate is it is booming right now, and all the cars, luxury cars have been also come, few of the elements also they need. Then why they are going backward?
See, whenever we talk about job employment, from that perspective, we can talk about creating a demand, and then we talk about how do we fulfill the demand by admissions. Okay, so if I have to answer all these questions at one place, see, India, let's talk about India. India is a hub across the globe where many of the foreign companies are coming for last couple of years for investments, and they are opening up their manufacturing plants or they are opening up their remote offices. Point one, it is because of the cost of the labor being lower than their own country. The operation costs are being very high. Point two, Indians are having intelligence. That is one of the thing, and which also is compatible to the nature of the output they want. So these are the things which those countries, those companies from those countries are considering when they think about investment in India. Now, when they do invest, so that means we are talking about engaging those manpower which is derived out of the educational institutions, whatever courses they study. Now, the point is again awareness. Now, if we do not inculcate the habit of having this general knowledge when we are studying as a student, that what is happening, which are the segments which is growing up, where we see the upcoming investments, which are the foreign companies which are getting coming into India for their for their outcome. So if we do not have all those general knowledge, then we also don't know that yes, there is an opportunity. So as the students or the decision makers for the students are not aware of this, so they always go with the wind. Like there is a demand for IT, so let's admit a student, a child in IT, or let's say we talk about the AIML in the current. So later, but we have to also understand for a student, it is important what the student wants. So the primarily a student need to be counseled to set up a goal, and that is what is missing, for which decision making for the career options also get messed up. And as it gets messed up, so obviously many of the students do not have any even clarity once they are into the final stage of their or the final lap of their studies, that what they should do next. And with that confusion you cannot move further, so that progressive things are getting hampered because of this inconsistent behavior in handling the students, in taking decisions, in not having the awareness of the happenings in the country, how the economy is growing. Now you talk about China, you see they are exponentially growing in every segment, whether it's industries, whether in education, how they are doing it, although it is the second largest populated country in the world. So they are highly focused on each and everything in their policy making, in their education system, even in the small scale industries, or even in the medium grade industries, like the industries which will think about a high production, and will think about, they would also consider exports as one of the thing. So if we consider India as an agricultural state, that cannot be the complete sense of India. We have to consider India as a place where we can think about mining, we can think about agriculture, we can think about even IT, we can think about having high rises, or we can think about further development in terms of the manufacturing. So we can think, so whenever this entire development in all the sectors are happening, and that way the manpower planning aligned with the colleges are done, then the reservation of the seats can be also made using the counseling techniques. Because
Okay.
finally we have to get those people who will be the future assets to various organizations.
Sir, do really students need to come to college, or else lack of, not like that. Actually, I wanted to ask you, the question is, 4 years of engineering, is that better or the worst thing which a student take for the student's life?
No, that's a very important question. See, when we talk about Germany, it's a very important example. Germany, the engineering degree is not complete unless they spend 2 years in the industry, and
Yes.
the supervisor certifies that during these 2 years the student has learned something. Now, if Germany takes more number of years, and it is a very progressive country in terms of engineering, it's famous in the world. So now we consider in India. So even in 4 years, if we find that it is a long time, no, it's not a long time. There are a lot of subjective knowledge which is required. There are a lot of practical knowledge which is required. Now, if the student thinks that okay, I have to understand the subject and also need to go to the industry and have a experience as a part of my internship program, then only the student will mature enough to get qualified for those respectable jobs for which they have to compete. So maybe the students' awareness is less, number one. Number two could be in the education system, on an average, that awareness is not met. And because of again that counseling which is missing, everything is not going in the right direction. So many a time students feel maybe final year is not the play time when we have to go to the college. It's better to have a study at home,
Yes, sir.
and they stop coming in. Yes, attendance is important. Attendance is important for not only having the theoretical lectures, but attendance is important to have a more of participation in other events, which will help him to develop their skills. So more of skill development activity should simultaneously run apart from the academic studies. So if 60% can be focused on skill development and 40% on the academic studies during any course they do. Perhaps the student will be a better asset rather than not being able to find a solution for their own career.
Sir, I have a question because, as you said, it comes to 60% practical or 40% theoretical. I have a question because in our engineering colleges, naturally, we take all those tier 2 or tier 3 engineering colleges. We have 40 subjects and we have labs around for each semester. If we take absolutely 5 labs, we have 8 semester, 8 5s, 40 labs. 40 labs we have of different fields of different various like Python, Java, and everything. But we cannot have all in a circular manner because when I get into the market, I need only Python as a full stack developer or else as a Java full stack developer. That doesn't make any sense in the engineering colleges. What is your opinion about that, sir?
See, when we are talking about the practical exposure through the lab training, I would also say one thing, in tier 2, tier 3 city, that is your question, very
Yeah.
important. See, let's understand in education system, what is the first foundation? The first foundation is who is teaching you? The faculty.
Yeah.
Second comes the audience, that is the student. So when we go to tier 2 or furthermore tier 3, we find, I have observed that, many of these colleges do not have too many good faculties, I would say, who are experts. So
Okay.
if those experts are hired, many of the people will not look for relocation to a tier 3 if they are from tier 1. That is
Okay.
another challenge in sourcing the right people. Second point, whenever we talk about education in tier 3, many places, that financial things are also coming in picture, like the cost of hiring the faculty, which will give more value to the education.
Yeah. Got
This
it.
is one. Second thing, even if we have more of education through scholarships and less of financing, that also creates such an obstacle for funding a high cost process, which will help them to get a more practical orientation through the labs. Okay,
Yeah.
because a lab means also having the optimum resources which will work for the demo for understanding. Correct. So if in a lab, if I have to invest a lot of money, I need that funding also. So now when we talk about funding, funding comes from tuition fees.
Yeah.
Funding comes from different areas. Now it is not that a private college, an investor will keep on funding without having any resources. Number resources of different resources like funds from other sources. So
Okay.
tuition fees is one of the area.
Okay.
So
As you said, IICT also gives some funds because of the students experimenting on the industrial factor.
correct. So now when we are talking about grading earlier, so grading also depends on lot of parameters. It is also
Yeah.
like why you asked me a question that if attendance is mandatory or not. And let's say lot of parameters, out of a lot of parameters, one of the attendance is another parameter. Labs are another parameter. Like what is the quality of your lab? What is the percentage of students coming in for the semester? So all these factors are important. Now how many PhDs are there as a faculty? Okay, now all these factors constitute for the accreditation parameters. Now if I have to accommodate all the factors in the best possible way, so there comes again the point of investment. Correct, because
Yeah.
investment without money, nothing works out.
Yeah.
So this is the reason, you see the challenges comes in where the labs are there or you need the labs but you don't have the right resources to teach and make you competitive in respect to the global standards. And that is where we feel that we are way behind at times in what the market is looking at. So there is the skill gap. So that's the reason skill development is the only essential area which covers to that 60% area vis-a-vis the 40% of the academic studies.
Yeah. Sir, I have a really doubt. Are lecturers helping students or protecting the system of the college?
Let's understand a few things about human behavior to answer this question. And see, there is a difference between responsibility and accountability.
Yeah.
For anybody, whoever it is, let's say student, let's talk about a student first. If a student feels that I'm only responsible to come to college and do the classes because of attendance, so my engineering degree will be completed. If that is the feeling, the student never learns.
Yeah.
If the same student change the mind and start thinking, I'm accountable to come to the college, not only for attendance, but learn new things, learn the subject, have a clarity. If I have a doubt, I should approach my faculty, ask him for an answer. If not, I will also go with the question to one of my brilliant friends who might be able to explain. I have to use all the windows to get an answer. If that attitude is not only sticking with the student, at the same time, if the faculty also see themselves that I am accountable to help these guys to know what they want to know or learn, if this rhythm is being maintained, then the purpose is achieved. So
Then-
wherever this rhythm is not maintained,
Yeah, I got it out. If not, what will be the cost?
If not, obviously the student would get affected, correct?
Yeah.
And now I believe that also have an answer. No one gets affected from the student's perspective. I would rather answer this. If the student is not having an answer from the faculty, they should have this web help, because in the web you can get immense inputs. Now, since we have so many apps today, including ChatGPT, I think ChatGPT can give you the smartest answer instead of looking for the digital library also.
Yes, sir.
So those days are gone where we have to look for an answer, and I believe earlier the education system was involving students to more refer to the books in the library, sitting sitting in the library for more a number of hours to get an answer, and they used to make notes. Coming to the college is no longer making notes and memorize the notes. It is more of having a clarity on what is the concept, the context. So if we have a system in education where a faculty is helping a student to clear the concept, answer all the questions which is not getting cleared, and if that is done, then it makes sense to study in the college. And beyond that, some additional help, obviously web-based help, has to be taken.
Yeah, that's great answer, sir. But sir, I asked you a minor question about, are lecturers really helping students? I could change the question like this. Do really a student need a lecturer's help?
Okay, to answer this question, I will tell you the upcoming future. There could be humanoids who will be teaching,
Yeah.
because humanoids will be filled with all the data which is required related to the course and beyond the course.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing as we talk about ChatGPT. So if AI is intervening so much, so maybe in the future, the requirement of lecturers would be reduced and AI would be coming in
You are saying that humanoid robots might come or teach. I am asking, do really a student need a teacher or a guidance?
Of course,
And
a
why?
student needs guidance. It's a very simple example to demonstrate. When every one of us was a child, a newborn baby, and we started walking, crawling on the floor, and then getting some strength on our knees, and then we used to stand and then walk. And when we are walking, and at times we are taking support of some walls or some of the other objects which was there in front of us, or there could be our parents or family members who was trying to guide us so that we don't fall. Anything that we want to do in life, we need a coach. So without a coach, nothing is possible. Now, how good is the coach or how excellent is the coach depends on the situation the person is. So looking for the right coach or a right teacher is equally important for a student. At the same time, from the lecturer's point of view, as lecturers should always believe, if they have come in the profession of teaching some few students or many students over a period, if that is the career, they need to also help those people for the transformation journey and help them and guide them the best they can.
Sir, I got a doubt. You told about the coaches and all. if a faculty or a lecturer who doesn't have a real-time industry experience, how they can teach the people or the student who is sitting there how the real-time industry works?
That's a very beautiful question. Now, 10 years back, when there was a situation where stereotype teaching was our only option, but as the technology has moved further and we are using technology in various ways, so if a faculty doesn't have a real-time experience, it will become very challenging because the students needs to be groomed on that subject or the topics based on what the industry wants. So, industrial experience is important for a faculty to ensure the student learning process is more simplified, and when they go for the reality they can connect to what they have studied.
I coming to the point, I asked a question that do really faculty need an industrial experience
They also
to teach the student an industrial experience? Because many of the faculty which are wherever I go, wherever the college I go, I saw the faculty a little bit of having the affection towards the industry, because many people worked in the industry or coming outside of the industry, they know little bit of the industry, but teaching the exact experience of industry, they again prefer, and again colleges prefer going to the trainers or the consultant firms. What is behind this?
because see, whenever you are to what is teaching? Teaching is all about, and this is a technical subject. So when we talk about a technical training, obviously an expertise is required in that subject or the domain. Now, if I am only trying to teach from the books or the notes, that will not be helpful.
Yeah.
That is the reason there is always a requirement of the industrial experience for anyone who comes in teaching. Without an experience, without an upgradation of himself or herself with some certifications, which is a global standard nature, won't help the person to materialize into this subject of teaching, because there will be a lack, and that is the lack for which many institutions at times feel that we need to have some outsourced trainers or consultants to deliver this teaching on a particular topic so that our students learn those skills. So finally it is dropping down to the same fundamental point which I spoke earlier.
Yeah.
60% skills
60%,
and 40% theory. Theory would never match unless you are getting into the practical context of learning. And a student, unless they are getting into the practical mode, they would not be able to go in the real world. So the simulated learning is very important.
Yeah, sir. I 100% agree you, because my first ever I tried to write a code. Actually, I tried to write a Python code in C language. It doesn't work. Yeah, that's really funny about me. So, sir, do really placements? So, what is the difference between the real placements and the brochure placements? Can you be very frank with us? You, because you are very experienced and guided few colleges.
See, I have understood one thing. The real placement is about, when we find that, see, there are two kinds of jobs. One is a job where you get in through the placement, and that job role is not meant for you. It is just a job.
Yeah.
For example, if you are an engineer and you get a job in a BPO,
Yeah.
that doesn't match your career goal at all. It is just a temporary solution that you have a job. So the real placement is not about getting a job. Real placement is what mapped with what the skills you have, and the skills gets mapped to the right client who wants you desperately. So those kind of placements are ideally happening in all those colleges where there is a skill development. So the without a skill development, you cannot match those parameters, correct? So that's the reason the real placement will always be defined with the core competencies, and only the placement that we talk about could be anything and everything, where a student may or may not be interested, but is pushed towards the interview and get selected. So now we talk about a brochure. See, there are many situations where we have seen that the student who got a job, a very high paying job, is not because of the institution. It is because of his or her own network and his or her own abilities using the network.
Yes, sir. I
So,
do believe in that.
But since the student is has passed out from the college. So college takes the privilege of publishing the name of the student with the company where they have, where she or he has got a placement. So that is how that is a kind of co-branding effects.
Yeah. Sir, actually coming to the point, I asked you a question that are brochure placements are real or really college have the placements? Because many colleges say we got 100% placement, but damn real fact is that 100% placement could not happen in any college.
Correct.
You know that.
So this see, anything which we declare in a brochure, that is the point I said initially, that if a student is going for an admission, he should talk to the students various semesters and try to understand what is happening. Because if somebody is already studying and for a few years, let's say 1 or 2 years or 3 years, they some of them would definitely speak out the truth, and that
Yes, sir.
gives the data, and the data which you see in the brochure, you can always correlate. So once you personally understand this data which you get from the actual audience who is there in the college, and the data which is published in the brochure, so you can correlate the data and take a decision. That is the best way to take the decision. Decision making is not based on what you see. Decision making is based on what you see and what you feel and what you check. So validation check is very important in the process of understanding what is real and what is just a kind of which is to be shown for marketing activities.
Yeah, that's great one, sir. Sir, if you have that opportunity to remove a rule in the entire college or entire UGCs, what the rule, which rule do you remove?
See, when you talk about the government plans, the rules and all, I mean, this is a body, right? UGC is a body. So UGC being a body and a very recognized body, they have got certain framework. So with that framework, whatever they decide, I think we should not talk about that, because their decision is ultimate, because that's a regulatory body. So we cannot have a question on the regulatory body on what are the positions, because every position is defined with certain KRAs, the key responsible areas. So none of the position has anything like it is not important. Every position is important. Let's say for a college there could be a dean, could be a principal, could be a lecturer, could be an assistant professor. So every position is even the lab technicians, it is very important for defined for delivering certain aspect of the job which is related to the functioning of the entire process. So I don't think this question, the answer that we want, this question I should be able to answer, because this is an answer to be, we have to think about an answer which is already being framed in the books in terms of the operations.
Sir, coming to the question which I asked this question because if UGC really framed a useful plan book for a student, that why does consulting firms come? Because of you said consulting firm comes into the college behalf of the students and the lecturers gap between the market and the industry. Then why the market gap is there between the student or the faculty? Because the previous version is very slower than the market. Then why it is going to behind?
See, education policies keeps on upgrading based on the market demand and the scenarios, the challenges which is being faced. Now let's say if we talk about a number of colleges getting licensed, number of seats getting increased, everything is dependent on the demand and supply gap. Similarly, when we are talking about framing new courses, those courses are also defined based on the market need, what the industry needs, what the different segments needs. So see, it is a continuous process where body tries to evolve with certain new things, and every year they try to come out with new things to be included, new courses to be included. So I would rather say in this way, there has to be a regulatory body like UGC is working, and they only have to work consistently, and which they are working, and as per the changing scenario, the dynamics are changing, and the courses are also getting framed out. Some new things are also getting included in the courses. So that will keep on happening. It is a consistent process. It cannot be made in 2025 or like in 2026.
Yeah.
It cannot be done like that. So these things will be always a continuous process. So I think it should be always left over to them. And there are always certain boards. There are consulting firms even which comes out with a lot of reports. So that reports are also being seen by the government. So they also feel the necessity to include certain things, and that is how they also that is the reason we talk about that government is only the body which has created the skill development things where the training is done with the help of government along with the private parties. Similarly, CSR, the corporate social responsibility, is some concept which has been also evolved out of this situation where an education system or education college may not be able to deliver 100%, but because of the CSR, the corporates are allowed to spend some of their funds, and not only to get the tax benefit, but
Yeah.
also to develop or strengthen the education system with the employability skills.
Yes, sir. Because in our college recently, while I was studying in the college, there is a She Health program initiated by Infosys company, I think so. Yeah, there is a program.
So the point here it is only government body or functionary cannot do the things. There has to be a collaborative approach from the industry and the government, both together, working together along with the education institutions, can make this happen.
Yeah, that's great answer, sir. Sir, I have one more question. Do marks matter more than skill here?
Marks matter
Because many people I saw, even right now, many exams are going on for many years of the students, or like first year students are going to write their exams. As they are writing their exams, there is a person who I know. Frequently, he used to call me and he used to just tell me that I am very tensed because of this exam. So I used to tell him, if you're not passing the exam, that is not the end, because you can write the exam one more time. But at a moment, he just told me, because for every job there is an entry pass, something called examination result, so CGPA. If there is no CGPA in this present market, do they get job at the same time?
See, you have to understand that any companies which goes for recruitment have got a minimum criteria like 60%, 70%
Yeah.
to be your entire academics, no supplementary exams. Why? Let's say we talk about India first. Now we are in Indian. So in India, we see the population is in the higher side, more number of students. So there is a lot of competitions. It is not so easy to eliminate so many people with a tedious process. The best thing is to get some filters. So pre-filters are this point where there should be a criteria like this much per CGPA is required, or no backlog should be there. So this is the way of eliminating people from the mainstream applications, so that it creates lesser burden. Now, in actual, otherwise, this is just a process to for the hiring things, which is easy for running the process. Now, other than that, in actual, marks doesn't matter when you get into the work, because it matters only the skills. So marks becomes that becomes dormant when you get a job. It is more of the skills, what you have, what knowledge you have, what skills you have, and based on which you can do a progressive work.
Sir,
So
I
companies
have
look for
another
it.
doubt, because there is a person who I know who got around 5 to 4 CGPA, but is good at the skill and good at work. And what is his situation?
He faced this situation because he has to understand. See, that's the reason you need to understand. There is a criteria. There is a criteria, so that 60% is required or 70%, and that needs to be met for application. So if he is not meeting that basic criteria, obviously, even many of us might be seeing such kind of examples. The person who has failed 2 times, 3 times in the schools might be a champion later on in the studies.
Yeah.
And not only that, we have so many legends in the world. These leaders are running the world's biggest companies, but they are not having that strong educational foundation in terms
Yeah.
of certificate. But their business mindset is extremely well,
Yes, sir.
and they are doing. So education is required just to have a basic understanding, but more than education, skill has to be there, and skill needs to be developed. So the skill-based training would be the right answer, which will help the person to survive. And the criteria that we are talking about, this is only to help the process of elimination.
Yeah. Okay, you're just telling that only corporate companies are there to eliminate people because they need their work to be done very quick.
Hmm.
That's it.
The hiring process becomes easy.
Yeah. But in that hiring process, if they are losing, I said, he was a gemstone in his skill. If they are losing those people, and what about those people, and how should they approach the
So
company?
you have to understand another thing. Applicants are so large in numbers, but the opportunities are less in numbers.
Yeah.
So when I have to cut down these numbers or ratios, then there has to be some filtration process. You cannot think that a company will scrutinize all the applications, no matter the person has failed or passed or got 70%. It is very tedious process. So if the tedious and everything is any work that we talk about, everything is a goal, which is time centric. Within a time frame, that goal needs to be achieved. So when there is a recruitment process going on, and if everybody is allowed without any pre-filters, then it becomes a tedious process for recruitment, and that will not help them to fulfill their goal for the
Sir, if
recruitment time.
those people are not selected or not have, but they have a good type of skill in their own level, how should they approach the company or the managers?
See, when you are talking about a very very good brand, and
Yeah.
they will have this set of conditions. There is most of the situations you will not have that option to work in because they will have this criteria. Now, at times, at a later stage, if they have a good experience, and they might showcase their experience, which becomes proven, proven
Yeah.
things related to the skills. So that might open the windows for them for getting into that these kind of companies where initially might be there could be a challenge because of the percentage criteria.
Mm, How do they how can they get job? I was asking you. How can
They
they get?
need to they obviously they need to again apply uh, after having some years of experience and in reaching some milestone. So that is
Okay.
what they can do.
Yes, got it.
So with an experience, obviously a person is always valued.
Yeah.
So when there is no experience, like real time experience, so there has to be certain filters, and that's the reason normally in the recruitment process, initially itself they put these pre filters about the criteria of education, percentage, and number of attempts the person has passed out the exam, and so that they get the filtered applications, and then again they do the further filtration.
Got it, sir. And if we are talking about the student's life, and what is your good experience as a student in your college times, and what is the best way you can put this difficulty, you can turn it out into an opportunity?
See, whenever you leave your home and you try to stay alone, or you have to stay apart, away from your home, and you have to manage so many things, all of a sudden, the golden moments are already lost. That is, the comfort zone is gone,
Yes, sir.
and you have to always find a solution to your problems in a day-to-day life.
Yeah.
So, as a student now, let's say we have couple of things. Now, when you are at home, you get parents' care.
Yeah.
So, when you are alone, staying in the hostel, you have to take care of yourself. When you talk about food, parents like your family cooked food you are having earlier. Now, when you come to the hostel, you have to depend on the canteen food.
Yes, sir.
So, it is not about the choice anymore. It is more of an acceptance and adaptability to change. So that is the beginning of your like change the transformation of your mind. And I need to be flexible. I need to be adaptable to the changes, the scenarios. I need to more focus on my goals and do not consider what I eat or how I stay
Yeah.
and how comfortably I stay. Rather, I need to think that how much time I can give on myself to develop on the skills apart from my studies and try to work out for my own internships or try to get a job of my own. And I have to go for all those things and explore explore the various options to develop myself, and I need to have that perseverance skills. So that that student life without any comfort zone, you don't feel anything else except that you are going to achieve your goal. So your goal could be more of a careeristic goal, what you like and how you want that thing to align with the industry, how you can get the experience, how people would recognize you out of your work, how you would be valued in the market after you pass out, what are the things you need to learn to get certain value. So if we keep our focus in these kind of thoughts and we prepare our action plans, then obviously, we don't feel the journey is very uncomfortable. I feel like the same thing what I am telling you as a learning, this is what I have been doing, and I am always adaptable to the situations and flexible. So I have tried to work out myself to various situations. I have also tried to take suggestions whenever I feel my mind is not giving me right answer. And these are all, acquiring those skills out of the situations and then making it practically applicable in your own personal life. So this is what a student should, follow, and that will make them more better humans.
So, sir, if you got into your past, if your college time, which is what one of the most wonderful experience you have in your college time, because you are with a group of your friends and all that moment.
See, I actually forgot. I could not, feel that I have been a student like you, some let's say around 30 years back.
Yeah.
So those 30 years went by, and even today we have all those college friends or the school friends separately in the WhatsApp. So technology has made me connected, and now when we talk about the good memories, it actually flashes exactly the same even after so many years. Maybe my school building, maybe my teacher's face, maybe the games and activities that we have been. All those things comes as a flashback in our memory. It is so live, and it is live because whenever I was there as a student studying in different places or different schools or colleges, I used to love my institution when I studied. I used to love whatever I used to learn. I used to love all the activities that I have been participating. So, if you have enjoyed that life, so it stays as a good memory. If you don't have any regrets, so obviously no question of any bad memory.
Yeah, that's a good answer and great answer, sir. Hearing from you. So, let us, this you told about the college experiences and how the student should be. Thank you for your guidance and all. So, let us start into the startup.
Okay.
As you're motivated and very enthusiastic, and you're teaching us especially about the startups and all. So, what exactly is a startup and how it is different from a normal business?
Let me just clear it with very important points. A normal business is like a kind of traditional things, like you will think about some stability in income. But when we try to compare normal business with startup, it is innovative, and it always tries to identify what is a problem of the end user. So a startup should be thought of when you try to take a risk of finding a solution to the problem of the consumer. So if the problem is being solved, and then if you think that I can launch the solution at a price, you need to also validate the data whether you have buyers. So in order to have a startup, before we actually get into investment of a startup, we need to understand whether the customer is really looking for a solution. If they're looking for a solution, are they going to pay a price for it? So there will be a lot of data analysis which needs to be done, and there could be some zero investment tools like WhatsApp or some email surveys, or could be some Google Forms. So initially this should be done with the targeted audience, and then you should get that feedback. Based on it, you should be able to take a decision whether I should create that product and launch in the market. There would be a risk, but the risk is always validated with the data.
Sir, coming to the point, I asked why it is different from the normal business.
It is going to help anybody to scale up the business. Normal businesses normally do not have an opportunity or the widened window of scaling up. Normal business, let's say we talk about a general store, a kirana store. So normally what happens that people have a mindset that if I'm into normal business, I have this set of customers, these are the products I need to keep, and I try to sell, and I get a certain income every month. So normal business, we don't see that scope of scaling up. But in startup, if the product is hitting as per the problem and the solution, then it has got a wide spectrum. So this business has always got an opportunity which is beyond imagination. And but yes, the risk is there that someone needs to work on the initial steps very carefully before they think about a startup. So that's what I can tell you in terms of the difference between a startup and a normal business.
Yeah, it's great to hear from you, sir. Sir, do we need a unique idea or an execution is more important? I mean, unique
Idea,
idea or an execution is important.
anything which is in idea stage doesn't work till the time it is executed. For example, if we think about a certain product design, we can think about the idea of designing, but we need to first, before designing, we need to see how the design should be to meet up the requirements. Now, without evaluating the requirements, if we design the product may or may not be liked by the end users. So, idea generation is important, but ending up with idea generation doesn't mean that you will be successfully uh, getting that into reality. So, execution is the first thing which you need to keep in mind before we think about idea generation.
Okay. Sir, what is your concept of bringing your company into the market?
Okay, see, as a company, I am into a couple of things like in training and in the education institutions as well as the corporates. I'm also into advertisement agency, like we deal with the publication of advertisements of the clients, or in terms of the branding activities, in terms of the events, we do a lot of things like this. And apart from that, I'm also uh, into agricultural medicines, which I normally work for, supplying the farmers to meet their requirements to solve the problems. Problems could be in the poultry farms, problems could be in the agricultural, in the crops, as well as in the fisheries. So even in the cattle, in case of cattle, so I work for a solution to the problem with whatever things I have in
Okay.
my bouquet. So I also try to venture into my entrepreneurship journey with this idea that what is the real problem where the customer is not able to find a solution absolutely the way they want,
Yeah.
and that is where experiencing what I have learned by work connected me well to execute to find a solution with the services that
Yeah,
I'm
that's
in.
good, sir. And how do you find a real problem worth solving it?
See, when we talk about work, there is a word called word solving. So word solving means something related to a situation where people might have experience of too much of spending on getting a solutions, but still they are not getting the ultimate solution. So when you are trying to identify a problem which is being affecting the end user, the customer, too many times, so you need to understand the core of the problem. So once you understand the core of the problem and you find a solution to it, whether it's a product wise or it's a service wise, and then you try to offer them at a price, the customer who have not got results even by spending money and then gets a solution from you at a price, it's worth solving.
Yeah, got it, sir. That's very good to hear from you because many people lost the time worth of wasting their expenditure and all behalf of using it in a constant moment.
I will tell
I,
you an example just to justify. Many a times we are so busy that it becomes very difficult for us to take out time to buy a product going to the market.
yes, sir.
And there comes the point of e-commerce
Yes,
portals,
sir.
and it is worth because it saves time no matter at
Yeah,
a little extra price.
yeah.
And it also gives a wide spectrum of choices,
Yes, sir.
and that helps you to get the things
Done.
done.
Yeah, yeah. That's really many because many like me, many youth are solving the unwanted problems, not the worth problem, worth solving the problems. because they doesn't know what who is the end consumer who will be consuming. Do they consume it or not?
So we talk about creating apps, but if I create an app and if I don't have the consumer
Yeah.
mind, I'm not understanding the consumer mindset, and we are trying to create an app. So that is not what solving.
Yes, sir.
So that's the reason, anything related with startup, we need to keep in mind first validate the data about what you are supposed to bring into the market.
Yeah.
Is it really going to solve the end user's problem? And if it is, how many responses could you collect? That if you are going to offer them like a coming soon option, how
Yeah.
many of them are agreeing to it? And they would look for a solution at a price. So if you see that the responses are coming in with a survey, that means it's worth solving when you think about a startup.
Yeah, that's great, sir. Sir, how can a beginner validate an idea before investing their money?
Mm. See, there is a concept where, whenever you think about investment, you need to identify why I should invest. So, when I should invest. So, now let's say we talk about situations like, if you have to plan for a travel, example. Now, the most traveling preference is during the winters because
Yes,
there
sir.
are a lot of holidays. So, of course, when that time, the flight tickets would be higher or the reservations, hotel reservations is not that easily available uh, for the choice of hotels which you might be happy in your mind. So, what it means that if you have to travel and if you have to think about the cost part, it is always important that you travel in the off season
Yeah,
for
in
your
the holiday
vacation.
vacation will be.
Vacation. So at a low cost because you get a lot of deals and
Yeah.
so similarly when you talk about startup, before you think about investment of too many things, and because a lot of things are there, what are the elements we need in a startup? We need to have a data back report. For that we need to have a data research, so that requires some travel. So these are all essential things, correct? So that needs to be done. Second thing, we need some compliance, like some documentation, registration of the company, and something related to the GST in terms of the Indian context, something related to other other registrations related to the startup India, or something related to the registration in MSME to show as a micro and small and medium enterprises. So all these things are basic requirements. So these cannot be avoided. So once we do that, and then we start without thinking much of investment, with a
Sir,
bare
I
investment.
want to ask you one more question. What is we have to do? Use as you said, we have to do some groundwork of that. So, what are the levels of validation? These points, if these 3 points or these 4 points are okay, you are worth of validating that.
Correct. So whenever you have to do something commercially, first of all, you need to do a market research. What is the pain point of the
Market.
market and in what category you are going to work? Second, doing a sample survey with the free tools like WhatsApp or a Google form,
Yes, sir.
correct? Or an email. Now, these things are important just to decide on the next step that you will take for initiating the startup. Is it going to give you, is there is a probability, higher probability of getting better results? So once you have the study or the research done, then it comes to the decision making level. And once you decided, no, I need to find a solution to this, and I'm decided and determined, then it comes, objective would be how do you come into the legal framework of registering your firm. So all these things are important before you commercially launch your product or services. And then during that time, you can also use certain digital promotions so that some kind of coming soon messages goes on to the clients, and you are in constant, uh, you know, echoing of your brand. So that brand, which is a very newborn baby, but that brand starts building. The brand building activity starts. Now, the you need to think about certain applications. You need to think about a structure of your employment. You need to think about training those people who will be working along in your team. So all these things are the second part of the story. So once we do step by step and then we launch our product or services, obviously with the customer feedback, which should be the core area later on, and how they're liking and what are the things you feel from the customer service needs to be incorporated, even if it is not there completely. Talks about improving your product or services based on the customer demands. So if this is a consistent process, even if you are established brand later on, then your business runs even if there's a competition. And that is how startup can think about a scale up.
Yeah.
So this is the process of how you get into the startup mode and consistently working on those patterns and then move on in the journey.
Yeah. Sir, how much money is actually needed to start a startup?
Initially when we talk about the startup, there are only few things you have to begin with, and one is your an amount which is required to do an R&D on your product
Yeah.
or the services. That depends from product to product or
Yeah.
the service. There could be some amount you have to allocate a budget, you have to allocate for travel or connecting with the consumers, and more than that, uh, there is a very less amount which we talk about getting some license done, but most of the government licenses are almost free or at a very nominal charges. Like when you talk about registering your firm under MSME, which is a basic license, it is zero cost. When you talk about registering your company under Startup India, it's also of no cost. So all those government licenses, majority of them have got no cost. But when you talk about GST, it is also of zero cost. So you can always generate a GST number. If you think about having a PAN, yes, there could be an amount, small amount, to apply for a PAN when we talk about registering the PAN as a company in the name of a company. So it's a very nominal cost. So business, initial part of the business is not about a high cost, but the point is that what type of business is only the factor which talks about how much money you need to begin your journey. If you are into a manufacturing, obviously you need money for the machines and the tools required. You need a shade, you need some rentals, you need some logistic. So that will be a cost. So it all depends on what is the nature of the startup, what kind of business that you're going to do. But ideally, you can think about even doing something even at a zero level to 50,000 rupees, anything. But it depends again and again what is the nature of the product or the services.
Yeah. Coming to that point, actually, I asked you a question, right? How much money do you invest? So even investment have few types I got to know about. So that I asked two questions about it. First thing, if what is bootstrapping and what is funded, and in both of them, which is better?
Okay, let me just clarify the difference between bootstrapping and self-funding or funding by
Others.
the others, investors. Bootstrapping is all about the estimated cost to start up your business or do your business by self-funding. So when you try to arrange your money to start up your business or to execute the work which is required to roll on the business, it is called bootstrapping. Now, when you talk about investor
So
funding,
bootstrapping is funding yourself is called bootstrapping.
yes. So it can be always, it is important because when you think about a startup, it has to begin with you. You cannot go to the investor unless you have a validation done on your product or services. Funding, funding from the investors can be done at a later stage, because whenever you talk about inviting the investors to fund, you need to ensure the investors are happy and you can answer whatever queries they have. If they don't find the genuine interest, will never develop. So they need to find the results. The investor comes in the picture when there is a result. So if you are already starting your company and with the product or services and you're establishing to a level which is also profitable in nature, and you have a good plan to present to the investors, then you have lot many windows. It could be the private investors and investors. We could talk about the venture capitalist. But beyond that, we also have more options like the government fundings, the seed funding, which can be done from various bodies that we have from
Yes,
the
sir.
government of India.
Yeah, that's good, sir. Sir, I also have a doubt. How this much research is going on the startups, and why do startups fail at the same point?
Startups fail because they lack lot many behavioral skills and lot of other qualities. See, everything has got a, let's say we talk about building a small house. Now you cannot simply think that you have to build a house and you just make the walls, make the roof. You need to also do the soil testing and understand whether pillars are required.
Yeah.
So the foundations are missing at many situations. It is not a dream that comes true only because you have registered a company and you started doing something. You need to understand startup should not be made till the time you have a clarity on the problem that you want to solve, the problem of the consumer that you want to solve. So you need to identify what exactly you want to provide a solution. So for that research is important. And after doing the research, when you feel that what is the competition that I have related to this, if there is a zero competition or if there is a competitor having a product in the similar lines, then what is the risk that I have in terms of positioning my product in the market. So we need to understand how do I position the product. That is also important factor for which startups fails. We need to understand that how do I do the awareness in the market, and so that customers will ask for my product. We need to also think about the pricing strategy. We need to think about a logistic strategy. If I am campaigning but I don't have my products available, obviously I will not be able to stabilize my business. So lot many factors, starting from supply chain management to the manufacturing, to the branding, to the customer feedback reviews. Everything is a part of and the pricing also. Everything is a part of making a startup successful. So whenever these elements are missing because of lack of skills, so the startup fails.
Mm. So you tell lack of skills and lack of knowledge about that particular thing which they are doing. That is the reason why they are
Correct.
losing it. So, sir, I have some chart of 90% startups fail. So, why are so colleges are still lying about entrepreneurship?
See, when you, let's say I take an example, there is a 100 meters race. There are some 15 people running in that lane. Everybody runs, but only one person becomes first, second is a runner up, and third is a runner up.
Yeah.
So why is so? So our job, a college will always think about, if I create this entrepreneurship mindset learning in the college, that will help us to identify those potential students. Out of many, there could be few who can be brilliant in their ideas and execution if done properly with all these process oriented things in mind. Maybe 2 or 3 people out of that lot would be emerging as a global
Leaders.
leader, or could be emerging as a young entrepreneur. And this, if it is being repeated as a process over a period of time, would create more number of entrepreneurs. So if the entire system think about this kind of skill development courses, so obviously there could be many more young mindsets which can be the brilliant, which can come with the brilliant ideas, with the brilliant products and services, and that solves a part of the numerous problems that is there in our universe. So that's the reason this is important. Now we cannot think scientists can only produce a product. A product can be designed or produced by anybody and everybody. So out of that, a institution is one such ground where you can pull up such talents. So that's the reason it is important to consider this as a part of the course curriculum. And that's the reason even engineering and entrepreneurship is also there in the course in the second year.
So, guys, everybody, please listen. Entrepreneurship is involved to the college because the startups are failing. Not only for the startups are failing, they have to have an idea, they have to have a capability. After going out of the college, if they wanted to do business, they have to know how to do that, how to evaluate, how to validate it. So that colleges start something incubation centers. They incubate a few of the startups in the college. They incubate. They give the incubation cell will give the funding, pre-funding to the call to the startup person who has that idea, so that the college themselves will have a good entrepreneurship guidance.
Correct.
So, sir, coming to the point again, so what do you suggest for the students? First, the startup or the job?
See, only few can work to with a startup? Not everybody, because we also answered that question why 90% failed. So that few numbers would be out of many. So those people who have the potential should be identified and they should be encouraged to make the startup journey. Otherwise, in general, if 90% fails, so for that, as I said, it is all related to skills. So they should actually have an experience by doing their jobs. And after a few years, when they feel confident and self-motivated, then they should come. So of course, when you come to do anything first time, if you have little experience, it will always give you a lot of ways, lot of directions. But if you have a zero experience, not everybody has the capability to
Do the
start
startup.
from that zero. So in order to reduce the probability of failures, it is important that we have more people to have a work experience and then go for a startup. But at least for those who are brilliant in their minds, having all the skills, even before not entering into the job life, they should be always carrying forward and they can do. There are plenty of examples who are young minds and they have not been to the jobs, but they started the career with the startup idea itself. That works, but it is not for in general, but it is only for few.
So you suggest going for your job is the best way.
For majority, it is
Majority.
best, but for few who are brilliant, they should always
Yeah.
be an exception.
Yeah. If a startup fails, we will never think of startup failing. But if a startup fails, what should the founder do? I have a doubt.
As we know, the Thomas Alva Edison, who has invented the bulb for which we see the lights at night,
Yeah.
starting from that so nice story, the real story, failure is a part of our life. So we have to accept the failure and we need to learn out of the failure and we need to keep on trying again. And that is what is called perseverance skill. So if we keep trying and we increase our resilience, and I'm sure if person tries every time, even number of times the person fails, out of that lessons learned out of the failure, the person would definitely, any individual can definitely crack sometime or later for the goal that he or she is chasing. So failure is important and we should expect failure, but we need to keep in mind we need to learn out of failure.
So guys, so everybody please make a note of it, because failure is a first step for success. When you learn from the failure, not failing every time. That doesn't make because regular basis we will talk about exams. I will fail every day I will fail exams, but I have to get good marks. That is big nonsense I talk it about. So if you fail for the first time and learn for the second time and again you fail, you are lacking something, some knowledge about that particular topic or particular thing. So learn it again and do it again. That is the best way to come back. So never stop if you fail once. So please note this point.
So learning is a continuous process. Relearning is again a continuous process, and by learning and relearning and learning from failures is the only way where we can evolve as a better human. It is there for every aspect of life. It's not only for education, it's
Yes, sir.
also for our normal life.
Yes, sir. Sir, I have few more questions. Can someone become entrepreneur without money, networking, and the communication?
All the three elements are important. Money is required, whether you have money or you don't have money, somebody is an investor. You don't have money, you have to go for funding, but you have to submit your project report, get financed. And now networking is important because if you know people, then you get a lot of you get a lot of inputs which will help you to improvise your product quality or the services that you are thinking of. Networking is important because networks always give you a open-ended channel where you can connect with people and also ensure that your product is known to that world.
Yes, sir.
So all the three elements are important in business or entrepreneurship, without which you cannot do anything.
Yeah.
So if you are only if you are only a producer or a manufacturer and you don't have the customers, your products will stay in the go down, and you will not be able to push that. So it is a wrong investment.
Yeah.
Your input cost would be high and output is zero.
Yeah.
But when you have all the things with networking, who is my buyer, who is my seller, who is my distributor, who is my dealer, if you combine all the things through networking, then everything goes well.
Yeah. Sir, is India is becoming entrepreneurially freedom or just I was asking just prettier struggle?
See, as we see that there has been a lot of support system which is being created by the government of India, even the state government. Everybody is encouraging entrepreneurship, and the government is also having separate portals, so many portals where we apply for different things in different portals, and
Yes, sir.
we get the funding accordingly. But yes, there is a process, but we cannot ignore the process. So if we have all the documentation, and if we can prove while the investigation is done on the project report, so obviously the funding also comes easily. So this means that India is looking for more of entrepreneurs, because for an Indian economy or any country's economy, exports are very important, and without the help with the more number of people, where we have more of manufacturers, we have more of service providers, we cannot progress the economy, and money cannot be constantly there in one hand. It has to be rotated. So with the values in the product and services, only the money will move, and
Yes,
that
sir.
is the way our economy develops. So if there are no producers and only consumers, then only thing will happen, that there will be only imports. But if there are producers, and along with that there are consumers internally within the country or externally outside the country, then your money power also increases, because there will be a lot of transactions. So it is more towards engaging people's mindset towards entrepreneurship.
Okay. Sure. Can you describe me few skills which is very most needed for the entrepreneurship? Can you teach me or
So
tell me?
sure.
Tell to our viewers,
Okay.
actually.
See, for entrepreneurship, or we need to have certain things in mind. Number one, we need to be first having certain values in ourselves. Because if you don't have the values, we cannot think about the quality. We cannot think about what matters to the consumers for whom I am thinking about a solution. So values are very important. So ethics and values is the primary thing we should have it. And with ethics and value, we should be able to understand, we should be very clear on our analytical skills of resolving a problem. Because if we identify a problem and if we analyze the data and then we try to fix the problem with a solution, that means we are trying to increase our problem solving. So that is a very important skill. Now, if we are not critically thinking on what is the real issue, and we are not touching on the real issue, and we are going to some other content, then obviously we are not going to be creative. So critical thinking followed by creative thinking, both are equally important, again, to back up your problem solving. And once you have all these things, then we think about another one, that is called decision making. So what I need to address, how I need to start, when I need to start. So all these things come as a part of decision making. And communication is always important, whether it's an email communication or it's a oral communication. Without communication, nothing works. We need to equally give importance in communication. So there are plenty of skills apart from which what I have spoken, but just to name few, like we talk about, we need a good team to work on. So we need a good teamwork. We need to have a vision. We need to have a clarity on what should be the planning and strategy. We need to also be very clear on the time management, because if you're not clear on what time I should take to come out with a solution, and what time I should take to reach the customer to give a answer to the customer issues that might be experienced, that a customer might be experiencing. So respecting others is equally important. So put together, there are plenty of skills, but these are the main skills which I've spoken about, is essential to become an entrepreneur, and need to enhance the skills over a period of time with the experience that the person is going to have.
Sir, I wanted to really ask you a question. As you are there into agriculture, you are there into manufacturing, and you're also there into consulting firm, and you also have done this media channels and all. So, which is the best right now? Which is the best thing to do? Which is the best startup we can think of? Which sector? I'm asking.
See, there are two things. Anything that I do, I have thought of entrepreneurship with the core objective of finding a solution to the area in what I am doing. Let's see, if I am into the service industry mostly, so I will think about servicing. So there is nothing called which is best. Everywhere we have a demand. Now, what interests you more is the point which will give you the answer where you should start. If you've seen the agriculture with your eyes from your childhood, and if you feel that agriculture is something which connects you well, there's a lot of scope in agriculture. And if you think that that you are more prone to only technology, connect the technology to the different areas where you can integrate IT skills with solving the problem in different sectors. That can be also a solution. So it is not having a thought of working in a specific field, but rather what you want is going to be the answer. It is not that I recommend something, so it is the best thing for someone. It always aligns with the individual mindset, what interests that person more, where the person feels more valued, where the person feels more connected. If that is being arrived, then creating creating a next level of the goal, like what I should do in entrepreneurship, can easily connect. Now let's say we talk about a few examples, like agriculture is having so many problems. Now if you say that you are good at drones and you want to create a drone which will estimate the problems of a particular farmer's problem in the field. Let's say he has a crop and there are a lot of fungus. Now, physically looking into the plants is that difficult because it's all about the time management. Now, you have a company which talks about surveillance on the entire field, taking the photos, and you have a scientific team which will do a research on that, even by going to the field and taking that sample, and then finding a solution that what would help that farmer. It's a solution to be given to the soil or to the plant. What exactly is the solution? If you can give a solution to it, so integrating the drone technology of aerial views into a solution to the agro need is getting done. Today's business ideas is all about a composite solution. It is not a standalone solution. So anything that we think should be ideally in terms of a composite solution.
Sir, can you give viewers a good idea of any idea you have? This can We can do research and we can make it into a startup. Any case study like that?
Okay, so what kind of areas you want me to speak on, so that I can think about that case study, like that segment? So there are, as I said, it is enormous. Startup can be an enormous field. It could be agriculture, it could be technology. So what you want me to, which area you want me to give
So,
some examples?
so
Where
one of your sessions, I heard about this grape kuch some concept of dates and all.
dates.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you explain me a brief about it?
Sure. So let's say we talk about something which we know normally don't understand the value in real sense, but it has got so enormous value in terms of the health. Now we know that diabetes, we know cholesterol are the major challenges in health as a health hazard in the current current days. Majority of the people are having this because of lot many factors, like not having food on time or having a stress, so creating diabetes, or not having the quality of food. So obviously, untimely food, quality of food, having stress, like this, multiple reasons are catering to that early age where diabetes is coming in or cholesterol is getting developed. Now, dates is something like whenever we have dates, we normally throw the seeds. But the seeds has got enormous value. Now, even in Europe or US, people have started avoiding caffeine, and so date seeds are being roasted and being powdered, and that is being used as an alternative to a drink which is similar to coffee, but is not a coffee. But also gives a lot of moral, mental boost when you drink tea or coffee. The similarly, date seeds when they are converted into the powder, and when you take in warm water, it also gives you a lot of energy. So it's a caffeine-free drink. So similarly, dates powder can be something which can be exported in abroad, and what we can buy in 80 rupees kg, the date seeds, is worth around 3,500 or more in US per kg. So you see the value of the money. Now this, if somebody thinks about buying date seeds, get it roasted, and this business doesn't cost you much also, roasting and then making it powder and then making some small packs, giving a level to it, get all the registration done as per the country and including all the legal things which is required in India. Go for exports.
Okay,
and you can become a millennial.
that's a good idea, sir. Actually, whatever you have said.
Yeah, Gujarat is a place where you have all this date cultivations and all,
Yeah.
so you can get dates from there, and you can create a lot of different packaging, and you can give a branding, and then you can find a seller online, and even you get the sellers online itself from the government support also. Even if you need money, you get some funding from the government. But this can be started without much of challenges.
Yes, sir.
It is not about a huge capital is also required, but
Yeah.
you can generate employment. So the main purpose of the entrepreneurship is to first be self-confident and start up something. And in that process, we are actually creating employment. So when we see that the population is so high in India and there are lesser people who can really get a job, maybe entrepreneurship is one such idea which can create more windows easily in the local level.
Yes, sir.
So
That's
it is a
really.
solution even for employment. So
Yeah.
entrepreneurship is not a solution for yourself; it's a solution for employment, employing others.
Yes, sir.
So that way, it is going to work out in anything that you think. So example of that is like this.
Yeah. So here in this podcast, actually, we have learned about what is the college main thing and what how does the colleges manage and maintain, and what a student has to be doing in their college states, and what are the startup, what is a startup, what is a business, and how what is a bootstrapping and what is funding, and how do funding gets, and everything we have got to know in this podcast. So guys, if you have any things you can tell me, you can maintain your the sound quality or audio quality which is low or high, you can please do comment. If you need something else to learn more, or you want to know about something particularly, you can just comment it in the comment box. And guys, please do like, subscribe and share it. So bye guys, this is the end of the podcast.
Thank you.
Sir, thank you, sir, for being here.
It's my pleasure meeting you, and thank you for giving a short notice and also making this wonderful opportunity for an exchange of words.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.